Is there anybody out there that wants to be a small part of this podcast?
I think I'm going to invite somebody to the stage while we wait for Greenish Vibes. Come on up to the stage. Come on up to the stage, Greenish Vibes. Everybody give it up for Greenish Vibes.
Yes. Come on up.
She didn't know she was going to do this today.
That's what we're all about. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks so much. Hi, guys.
All right, so you've been on my podcast, but allow me to introduce my lovely person that came on the stage last minute, didn't know she was going to be here, of Greenish Vibes, the founder and owner of Greenish Vibes. Tell the people, for those who don't know who you are, and what your company does.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Danicka. I'm the founder at Greenish Brands. We help people manage pain, anxiety, stress, and other ailments by curating herbal wellness products intentionally from Black and women-owned brands. And on the event side, we create community by hosting events, budding brunches. We just had a Greenish movie night. We host cannabis plus yoga at Liberty Station Market. And when I say cannabis, we don't sell THC. We are talking about all the other cannabinoids that don't get you high but are medicinal. So that's what we do.
And I didn't know there was so many, y'all. Like that, there's ointments you could put on your elbows that just make your elbows feel like less pain, where you don't have to take all these aspirin and all this other stuff. So it was a new experience for me. So tell me, how did you get into this space? Like what made you really get into this space and start this company?
So being a serial entrepreneur, like really it was just how do I get into this burgeoning industry? Like, how do I get into cannabis? What I found was that it was very difficult. You have to have millions in equity to apply for licenses, and I'm from Chicago. So even as things become legal across the county or across the country, it's still very difficult to get into the industry. So I was looking for a low barrier way, and that was CBD and accessories. And along the way, it's really become, how do we educate? How do we, one, break the stigma? Our mission is to be a catalyst to the world's normalization of cannabis. And so it's really become how we're healing people, how we're having those conversations. And it's really about the wellness now. So.
And I think it's like going back, it's like not every day that a child in elementary school is like, I'm going to own a cannabis company one day. So I would just love to go back even further. It's like, what was that led up to these decisions? Like, who were you before your company?
Who was I? Well, it's my first life, as I like to say. So I have a bachelor's in finance and economics. I was in corporate America. I worked for JP Morgan and got laid off right before the crisis. Right before that, though, I had gotten my real estate license. So I've actually been a real estate entrepreneur and I opened up a juice bar, helped people buy into real estate, really educating on how to take advantage and use real estate as generational wealth and, all having that conversation. So that's what I was doing before then. I moved here 6 years ago from Chicago. I had never visited, didn't know a single person. And while I thought that it was going to be real estate, it kind of has led into this cannabis life,
Really, truly a life before. You've had so many hats beforehand. But something I'm a big believer in is that every experience that we live through, regardless, may not seem like it ties into each other, but it kind of does in some way. You may not know exactly what it is or what it planned for it to be that way, but it somehow shows up later on. And so is there something that you've identified that you've taken away from your past life and brought it into your new life?
I think the thing that I've used most is like being in corporate America, the systems, the SOPs, the processes. Like I started very early documenting what I'm doing, That's why we're now Greenish Brands, because there are so many different kind of companies and departments that kind of fall under the company. So I think I've definitely taken that corporate viewpoint and operations and efficiency, maximizing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, being that we were talking about sustainability, right? There's an interesting story with you around sustainability, not only just working with the community, but even connecting with folks back on the motherland, my motherland, I like to call, which is Africa. Tell us that story. Like, how did you start connecting sustainability into your business by working with partners from Africa?
So my best friend, she's Nigerian American, and it was her relationship to Africa as a continent and the traditional communities that led to us being gifted land. And by the time I had started Greenish, she was trying to figure out how and what to do with the land. And so as cannabis is becoming legal in other countries, South Africa, is one of those countries. And so that's how we started to have that conversation. Like, we can use this land to produce industrial hemp, not even talking about cannabis, and kind of explore all those uses, women's health, in building, clothing, and really explore all of that, as well as leading with workforce development in the country. So, it's a lot. That's why I know that it's just a larger brand than just me. So building those, the team and the systems has been super fun and necessary.
Yeah, I don't want you to gloss over that. That's a big deal, y'all. Like, workforce development in Africa to build programs off of the land for those people there, right? And for those who don't know, hemp was one of the biggest things that was used in the U.S. back in I want to say 80s and World War I. That's all our military and so forth used. And hemp also has the ability to refertilize soil, so that if you're cropping, you put hemp, it refertilizes the soil, and then you put new crop of where, like, you may have had plants that really take all the nutrients out the soil. So that is a big deal. Clap it up for that. Clap it up for that.
Go hemp. And on surfboards are actually, they use hemp seed oil, correct? It shows up in sustainable wood.
Hemp seed oil and sustainable wood. Okay.
It shows up in aspects of, like, your life that you would never even imagine.
Look, you might have another business partner here. Where's our surfboard guy? This is another business. Look, connections. That's all those connections in San Diego Startup Weekend.
Yeah, we actually, I was a student at the Rec Innovation Lab, so
Give it up for the Rec Innovation Lab.
And I'm still very connected. I have to get back in, but yeah, he's a current student, and I definitely plan on connecting. I love his boards and the work that he's doing, for sure.
Amazing. And you also touched on the fact of building a community around your business. And so I would love to talk about that deeper, is like, really, what does that mean to you? Because of course I feel like community has become a buzzword in most businesses, but there's a huge reason as to why. And so what does that sense of community mean when it comes to your business?
So being from Chicago, I think community, loyalty, the togetherness is already, like, built in, for speaking as a Black woman. And so coming here 6 years ago, I really had to create my own community. And especially in the cannabis space, creating that community means making these products accessible, like breaking it down to them, having these type of one-on-one conversations, so that they can learn about the products, have resources to enter the industry. Like I said, we intentionally are curating from those Black and women-owned brands. So, bringing them along with us as we grow, that's super important. Yeah.
It's like no longer selling an idea. It's like educating people on the idea that you're focusing on. It makes the process a lot easier later on, it sounds like to me.
Definitely make the process a lot easier later on, but we were just talking about, like, the process of building a grassroots business is, like, very slow, and it's like one by one, but it's very rewarding. And for the last 3 years, it's like, okay, we're doing this, and I finally feel like, it's about to be a world, where we've kind of at the break-even point almost.
Yeah, I really love the step-by-step process. Something that I often, when I meet founders and I have these wonderful interviews and have these intellectual conversations to see what their journey was like, I've learned along the way that, we always start off with this goal as entrepreneurs and innovators, right? But the real opportunity comes is when we fall in love with the process, because if you don't get married to the outcome, you can see this ideal and this business shift and change into something beautiful that the world needs. So I say, don't fall in love with the process. And you guys are in the process of creating something beautiful every time you step into your businesses to go out there and show the world what could be done. So thank you for sharing your journey.
And I'd like to
Thank
open
you.
up questions, and I'll let you finish your thought. But if you want to ask a question, feel free to jump onto the mic, and we want you to join in on the interview process. But feel free, continue on that.
On community,
Yes.
where did I think I left off there? So we host events like I said, we do every Sunday, we do an herbal wellness market at Liberty Station. So how can these products help in your movement? We have a partnership with Stretch Labs every last Saturday of the month. So again, herbal movement, you're taking our tincture or your oil before your stretches. And that's like a normal thing. That's a wellness type of activity. That's something that you're already doing. And so how can you go further with your goals with our products? And that's the kind of conversation we're having.
Yes. And so please share, how can people connect with you online? How can they attend your events?
Definitely. So greenishbrands.com is our website. You can definitely find out about all of the events happening. Follow us on Instagram at GetGreenishBrands. GreenishBrands.com everywhere.
Give it up for Greenish Brands.
Greenish Brands.